This tutorial describes point, line, and plane. If we have a molecule, we can make a selection. Say we select the whole molecule, and then we can go up and name that selection. And there are some predefined named selections that we're going to talk about. In particular, we're going to talk about point, line, and plane here. Later we'll describe these other named selections. But if we name that selection point, what is point? Well, point is a point, and it's the center of the selection. That is the center of mass of each of the selected atoms. Since we selected everything, point is basically in the center of the benzene ring. However, if we selected this bond and went up and named that selection to be point, we would replace the existing point with a new point, and point is now the center of mass of that selection. So it's somewhere in the middle of the bond, closer to the carbon, because of the carbon's heavier mass. So that point is right there somewhere. In the same way, we can select line. And line, if we select the whole benzene molecule here, line is a line that is parallel to the primary principal axis of the selection. In this case, because of benzene, the primary principal axis is degenerate with the secondary, and there's not a specific direction. However, if we were to make these into carbons here, then line of selection would be right along this direction here. And if we were now select everything and name that selection to be line, then line would be this line along here. If we select only a bond and name that selection line, then again, line would just be this line here, or any other line that we have if we would just select two atoms. If we did name this line, then line would be this line along here. For the whole molecule at the moment, it's along here, but for normal benzene, where there's degeneracy, then the two principal and secondary axes are sort of arbitrarily in the plane of the molecule. Now the question is, what is the plane of selection? We have point of selection, line of selection, and plane of selection. If we select everything and go up and name plane, then what plane is plane is the plane of the selection that's perpendicular to the tertiary principal axis of the selection. Now that's a little bit hard to see maybe unless we go and turn on the inertial axes, and we'll see that in this case, as described, the principal axis is along this line where we added the extra carbons. The tertiary axis is perpendicular to the plane rather, and the plane of selection is the plane of the molecule. So plane of selection is, as you would expect, the benzene plane. So we have point of selection, line of selection, and plane of selection, and these are used and can be recovered at any time if we ask to select those. We can select a named selection at any time and recover, say, plane. That is the selection that's the whole molecule. But these are used in other contexts in hyperchem. For example, when we have restraints, which is described in a separate tutorial, we can have restraints that tether an atom to point, or we can, when we set velocities, we can aim all the atoms or the selected atoms at point, and so on and so forth. So point, line, and plane are general geometric variables associated with a molecule that can be used and recovered and be used in other contexts within hyperchem for other operations.